ओके। उबलती हुई चाय में कितने बबल्स होंगे और लाइफ में कितने ट्रबल्स होंगे, you can never expect. Because every time you feel that your life is stable, suddenly a panic monster comes in front of you to tell you, are you chilling? And you're supposed to tell it, no, 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 I'm still on the track. Well, the place where we all come from, we do not get introduced with the word pressure at school. It starts way earlier, at the time of our birth. कितने किलो का हुआ है? Well, in my defense, I was 2.5 kgs plus. I think I'm already in the league of the competition. Well, why did I quote that? When you talk about the pressure paradox, it starts with birth, where you start with comparison. You go to school, you get introduced to a word known as competition. And during your adulthood, you are in a constant state of panic, trying to figure out what to do, when to do, and how to do it. So well, for all of us, the ABC goes like A for apple, B for ball, C for CA, CLAT, CAT, and we are still fighting our struggle. We are still figuring out who to fight for and who to not. When I talk next, there's a very smart curve in psychology. And I'll not name the law, but I will try and explain you what it means first. You take thoda pressure, your performance uplifts. You take zyada pressure, and your system cracks down. And if you were to relate it with a simple situation that we all are used to, go on to the IRCTC website during Tatkal, and you will figure out what happens. So we are so used to, so customized to the term of pressure, that you take a little bit of pressure, you feel you're cool to go. You can figure it all out. The time pressure starts kicking in from all directions, you just want to sit down and tell yourself why. Well, I'll keep my introduction for the end, because I want you to remember me for what I say and not my name. So moving ahead, some of you would recognize me as someone who has been to the United Nations headquarters back in July this year. And I'm still 22, trying to figure out my life. I've been told you made it to the UN so early. But at the back of my mind, I keep checking down that was it the right Bhavika who made it to the UN? Because still my visa says SNU, and all my friends, they make a joke out of it. Second name unavailable. SNU ki beti hai ye. So, what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to talk about the imposter phenomenon that we all are customized with. The more we achieve, the more we fear that we don't deserve it. And that is one particular segment of our life that keeps demotivating us to go down. Well, I'm not here to give a very fancy talk, because I don't think so. I believe in the art of telling you for the next 15 minutes that pressure is negative, pressure is positive. I think the whole idea of figuring out whether pressure breaks you or it builds you, it totally depends on the dose that you're taking. So, when I talk about, again, the pressure word, it's like a spicy golgappa. You like the taste of it, but then later you might feel that it's burning you down there. So, let us try and break down the word pressure, the 3 types of pressure. And why am I doing that? I've worked with a corporate for almost 6 months, and I like the idea of breaking down problems. So, the very first pressure. Pressure that breaks you are your expectations. They go on like what job to take up, whether you're doing good as a student, whether you're married to the right person or not. And it feels like लोग क्या कहेंगे, इसी में हमारी दुनिया रह जाती है. And this is the paradox, because we are so inclined towards the thought of making it big that we do not appreciate the small steps that we are taking towards being the bigger version of ourselves. This particular pressure is like a pressure cooker, and it has a tendency to crack you. So this is why expectations are decent, But we need to remember that expectations should not be everything that you're looking out for. And sometimes at this stage, you're possibly unlocking an achievement which feels like level 1 of a new game that you never signed up for. The second pressure. Pressure that bends you. Comparison. We turn to be our own haters sometimes when we are supposed to be our own best friends. We are so busy comparing ourselves, be it as simple as your friend posted on social media that they're going for a vacation and suddenly you feel you're poor. Your friend is getting married and then suddenly you feel that you are single. You see someone posting about them going to a gym daily and suddenly you feel you're a potato. That is how life is. Because we stop believing in the idea of competition, we stop competing, we compare and we cry with a full stop. And why do I have a problem with this statement? Because I feel I did not make it to the United Nations directly. I did not teleport to New York. It's a whole journey. A journey of days, darker, to a point that even my achievements could not figure out where am I. There have been days when I'm trying to figure out what to do. Then there are days when I feel that I'm doing too much, but in polar directions. There are days when people come and tell me, you're doing amazing. But then there are days when people come and tell me, you need to do more. So I feel the second type of a pressure, it has a tendency to bend you. And that is where we need to keep an eye out. Because when we go so much into comparison, we stop living in the moment. And the life is all about living in every moment that you're a part of. Why am I saying that? Long back, maybe I started with the whole idea of networking there at embassies based in Delhi. I'm not from Delhi, I'm from Chandigarh. And I feel like the very first step I took in terms of my career formation was coming all the way to Delhi when my dad was having a whole debate at home, why Delhi? And now, when I was here, I was A, trying to figure out the kind of people that exist, and B, trying to figure out whether I would be able to gel up with them or not. And in the entire cycle of figuring out whether I fit in, somewhere I felt that I lost a version of me that could make the other person take a step forward to fit in the way I wanted to be there. So, this is the second pressure that we are supposed to keep in our minds, the pressure that bends us. Now you might be feeling that I'm only talking about the negatives of pressure, and that's not how the story goes by. There's a third kind of a pressure, and I promise, it's the last one. This pressure builds you, and that is your purpose. This is a good one. Why? Because it tells you that, hey, you can grow. Hey, you matter. Yes, you have it in you to make it better. So when you talk about purpose, before you start your journey of I want to become XYZ, I want to see myself in a position like ABC, start with why you want to do that at the very first place. Because a lot of us, we happen to be the famous generation, the Gen Zs, and we are so much engaged in the idea of scrolling, the emotional wrestling that we do on a daily basis, that we often forget that our story is ours, and it's written subjectively basis the kind of a culture we come from, the place we come from, the type of food we eat, could be the type of people we are surrounded by. And we end up comparing ourselves to someone maybe staying far off in a wealthier family, could be with a better prospect of resources, and then we suddenly feel that we are not doing good. So even when you talk about purpose, your purpose should be defined by you in a way where you feel things are making sense. Why am I saying that? Again, I would squeeze out from the entire motivation call, and I would talk about my own journey here. I was often told कि you should get a government job. Government jobs are more stable. You should possibly go ahead and look out for safety. Yes, that's completely true. That's not wrong anywhere. But the only problem with the statement is that we often know a chunk of options that could possibly yield to safety in terms of career, and we end up feeling that if we have not achieved it in that particular direction, then we have possibly not achieved anything in our lives. And that is not how the story goes by. The whole idea of you defining the purpose should be from the perspective of figuring out what you want to do and why you want to do that. So, pressure purpose, it helps you defining a story which can be worth telling to the people around you. When I go forward, again, I'm not here to tell you that, oh, pressure is supposed to end up after the 15 minutes or 20 minutes of a talk, or you hearing someone talk about, oh, they've made a beautiful life out there. That means we'll also do it. No. What we need to actually learn is that pressure is part and parcel of your life, and you in no way can let it go. And you're supposed to learn how to live with the pressure. Again, the subjectivity of the dose that you take. There are 3 things that I do. Maybe one of them is something that you would relate to, or maybe all of them. The very first thing, cognitive reframing. Arey, I have to do this. One way of looking into it. The other one, oh my God, I get to do this. I've earned it. The change of perspective, the change in terms of seeing how you want to go ahead with a particular emotion that you have. The second one is self-compassion. As I mentioned earlier, you're supposed to be your own friend. You're supposed to tell yourself that you can make it better. You're supposed to keep reminding yourself that it's your story and it's totally on you how you want to define it. And you're not supposed to be your biggest competitor in the world. The third one, and I feel half of the pressure comes from this particular segment, the boundaries which are defined by the world. We send it to the sender. You're not supposed to take up any expectation from the world or the society around you. Yes, be welcoming, be appreciative of all the feedbacks that you get, but at the same time, you should know when to set a boundary. Even though I'm not wearing my bangles right now, there's one cute idea that I recently came up with, again due to the motivation given to me, bangles and boundaries. I feel like when I was there at the United Nations headquarters back in July this year, I happened to be the only one wearing my bangles. We had a couple of Indians right there. And to be very honest, I would not shy to say this. Maybe people would not remember me for the words that I spoke, but they definitely remember me for my bangle collection. Why? Because that's the cultural relation that we share. Certain traditions bring in a new whole idea to the world. And why am I mentioning that? Because for me, the bangles, they tell me why the boundaries are not to be set by someone else in the society, but me myself. So when I go next, I would say that do not ask yourself the next time pressure comes and hits you that, hey, are you here to break me? Are you here to bend me? Or you are here to build me? Because चाय में कितने bubbles होंगे और life में जितने भी troubles होंगे, it is all subject to heat creating change. And change takes time. Change needs time. Well, given I feel I'm the youngest speaker here in the crowd today, there's one thing I would like to say, and I would like to echo on behalf of all the Gen Zs around. I do understand we are taking a lot of time to understand how the corporates work. I do understand that we are taking too much time to figure out things like when do we need a leave, or how to figure out our emotions. But I feel more than Gen Zs, we are the Gen U, generation with unlimited potential. All we need is a moment where someone trusts us with whatever we are doing. All we need is that one single moment where we can enact and take that chance. Take that chance up. And in the very end, now I would tell who I am. So if there's any single statement that you relate to the most well, hi everyone, my name is Bhavika Dabur. I'm a 22-year-old woman standing right in front of you with a broken voice and a little bit of cough. But yes, if I made it to here, if I'm right there on this red dot, on the red carpet, I feel each and everyone right here in this auditorium who wants to think big, be big, can definitely do that. So, need not remember me with my name, but do remember me with the conversation that pressure paradox is all about the subjectivity of dose that you take in, and it's totally on you how you want to make big out of it. In the last, इस राष्ट्र निर्माण के यज्ञ में एक आहुति तो हम सबकी भी बनती है. So all we need is a chance to make it big. जय हिंद, जय भारत.